Hey everyone! So a few months back, I went to Taipei, Taiwan for vacation, and while I was there, I decided to pick up a few art supplies. I completely forgot to bring any with me, and I wanted to be able to work on art during the downtime we had when it was raining too hard to go outside. I went to this awesome art store that was small but had a ton of supplies, and I picked out a few things that I would be able to use and make a complete picture from. I specifically chose a limited color palette so that way I can only grab a few things, but still be able to make something from it, because I have a lot of stuff at home and I didn't want to replicate stuff or get things that were similar to things I already had, so I went for colors that were in a range I didn't already really have, and also supplies that I didn't already have, like the Polychromos colored pencil. I'd never used those before, and the Ecoline liquid watercolor, I'd also never used those before. As far as the Copic and the Copic multiliner, I have Copics and Copic multiliners already, but I didn't have them in either of those colors, and I would have preferred a Copic sketch marker, but the sketch selection was actually pretty limited, and the colors that I didn't have weren't colors that I wanted, so I just got Chow, which doesn't really matter in the end, but I've found that I prefer the way that sketches look. So the paper I'm using is simply cold press watercolor paper in 300 GSM. It's from this brand called St. Cuthbert's Mill, which I'd actually never heard of before, and supposedly it's pretty good paper, but I didn't really like their cold press because it was just a bit too textured for my taste. But it did absorb the color really well, and when you wanted to like lift color off the paper, that worked really well too, so just personal preference, I guess. The one thing that probably didn't really fit in with the color selection was the watercolor brush pen in a sort of fleshy tone. I think the actual color was light orange, and I got that because I knew I'd want to use it in the future. It's very portable, it's pretty much a perfect flesh tone, and I've been wanting to try out this type of watercolor brush for a while now, so this seemed like a good opportunity. In hindsight, I should have tested out each thing in the store, but there wasn't really a way of doing that. So the Ecoline pastel green color ended up being a little bit too light, and then the Copic marker was a little bit too dark to kind of fit in with the lighter green colors, but that's alright, I still made it work, and I think it turned out okay in the end. As far as the actual art itself, I actually drew it a long time ago, probably over a month ago now. But at the time, I had just finished playing the game Soma, which is by the same studio who made the horror game Amnesia. Soma is also a horror game, but it has a very in-depth story that I really, really like. It's probably my new favorite game as of right now. And since I was still lost in the Soma world, so to speak, I ended up creating a piece of art that was heavily inspired from it. It's not directly from it, it's not of a character, it's not even like of any sort of costume design or character design or anything like that. I feel like to people who have played Soma, it might be obvious to them why it kind of looks like this, but anyway. I also referenced the pose from a picture that I found on Pinterest, but beyond just the basic pose, this final artwork bears no resemblance to the picture I used for reference, but I will link that below in case anyone wants to see that. And as far as the actual supplies are concerned, I think they all worked pretty well with each other. My only real gripe is the watercolor brush pen. If you put too much water over it, it will feather out a lot, which is kind of unfortunate because the only way to lighten the color is to add water to it, so. Oh, and I guess, and this is more my fault than the fault of the product, but with the Ecoline color, it was just way too light. I could not get the darker values that I wanted out of it. But otherwise, it's awesome. I'm probably addicted to them, and I really want to get more colors in Ecoline, but I already have way too many watercolors that I hardly use. So there's going to be a pretty big time jump, and that's because I thought I'd reached a stopping point, and I'd put this art away, and I just couldn't get past how unhappy I was with it. And I don't have a final image of this, but it didn't really have a background. It was just the final character on a white background. And I thought that looked weird, it didn't seem complete. So I went back and I added a gradient wash kind of in the background to symbolize, I guess, or show that the character is standing on the ocean floor. And then I went back in and I added some white highlights with, at first, a white gel pen, which wasn't opaque enough for me, so that's why I was using the Dr. P.H. Martin's white ink. And then just tweaking little things here and there, going back over with colored pencil, going back over with watercolor, going back over with the Copic even. And then there's definitely just a point where you have to stop working on something and say it's actually done and move on. And that's what I ended up doing. Not 100% happy with it, but in the end, I am happy with the progress that I've made art-wise in this past year or so after getting back into it. So anyway, thank you for watching, everyone, and I will see you in the next one.